This word has reached you just in time, chosen one. There are no mishaps or unforeseen circumstances. This is the pinnacle of divine orchestration. You were brought here because you possess an incredible quality that is just waiting to be discovered. It's true, everything you've secretly believed about supernatural intervention changing your life. The weight you've been bearing is more than just tension. It's a spiritual affirmation. Someone who is highly influential and guided by your spiritual guardians has taken notice. They have seen the potential you have been trying to conceal, and they are now getting ready to unlock a door that will allow you to leave a place that has been draining your soul and enter a new one where you may finally breathe freely. Behind the scenes, the ancient beings who are directing your path, whether you refer to them as angels, ancestors, or celestial allies, have been planning something enormous. It's not your imagination. You are on the verge of being hoisted and put in a position where your gifts will not only be noticed, but also honored, enlarged, and magnified. The signals have been all around you. Take a holy moment before we go forward. Take a deep breath and focus. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. This is a divine communication designed for the selected few, for those whose souls are prepared to awaken and rise, and it is more than just content. Please leave the number 55 in the comments if this message speaks to you deeply, if it awakens the part of you that is ready to embrace your divine purpose and is fed up with living in the shadows. It's no accident that number exists. It is a sacred code, a divine symbol that tells the universe, I am chosen, I am ready, I am aligned. This is not a message for the weak of heart. It's for people who are ready to accept divine synergy after enduring the hardships and testing. Staying till the end can help you discover buried wisdom, hone your spiritual perception, and unleash the blessings that were previously veiled by delusions. Make this your spiritual fulcrum. Watch it as often as necessary. Each time you go back, you will hear what you missed the first time, because truth is revealed in layers, and with each layer, you transcend the illusions, becoming more in tune with your purpose and taking a bold step into the future that the divine has already written for you. Now is your moment. Let's begin. Long before the offer showed up, your spirit sensed the change. Your soul sensed the tremors of change even before the opportunity arrived. You may have asked yourself, why does everything feel strange here? Places that were familiar began to seem little. Once natural conversations suddenly felt forced. Once reassuring, your routine started to seem like wearing shoes that were too small, and you started to wonder, am I just bored or tired? Number A, holy restlessness was what you were experiencing. You were being warned by your spirit about an impending change. Through casual discussions, fortuitous meetings, and unexpected messages about people, places, and visions that seemed oddly in line with the life you really want. Your guides had been subtly giving you clues. You keep seeing cities you've never been to. You are called to a new creative circle. A change in career starts to seem inevitable. It wasn't a coincidence. They served as holy prods. Doubt, however, attempted to block the transmission. Don't be ungrateful, muttered voices in your head. Be careful. You knew deep down that those murmurs weren't the reality, yet dreams like these don't just happen. They were delusions motivated by fear that attempted to prevent your breakthrough. Then, as if suddenly, something was different. A powerful person came into your world. Word spread that someone with vision, reach, and power sees you, not just the surface. Whether it was via a buddy, an email, or a seemingly random incident, that didn't feel random at all. They recognize your potential and your essence. Your soul recognized the energy, even if it initially looked too good to be true. It didn't seem coercive. There was no sense of haste or pressure. It was genuine and in harmony, as if a door you had been pursuing your entire life had finally opened. After that, the annoyance of being stranded turned into excitement. The barriers that made you feel imprisoned started to fall away. You stopped questioning your aspirations. Rather, you started getting ready for the inevitable. It's not blind faith, even though this shift can entail a jump into unknown territory, a new place, a new circle, a new task. The movement is amazing. Your purpose was not preserved by your forefathers so that you might remain concealed forever. You are no longer in the shadows. The time to rise is now. It's more than just a move. Anchoring your gift where it will thrive rather than wither is a spiritual setting. Furthermore, fear cannot stop what is already happening, even if it tries to infiltrate. You are aligning yourself with an environment that enhances rather than diminishes your excellence. Don't wait till the offer comes in. Don't doubt yourself. Take the call. Your soul's desire to return to its real home was the same as yours. That ideal is now being realized by life. This is your moment. Hit subscribe now and step into something greater. Don't miss out. You experienced the season of being ignored. It seemed like no one was paying much attention to you for a while. You had moments, yes, great ones. You mended damaged regions, offered strong solutions, and assisted others, but the appreciation was either fleeting or never came, which caused you to doubt everything. You questioned whether your abilities were genuine or only mental. Perhaps I'm not as talented as I thought, you thought. In actuality, though, you were purposefully hidden. Your higher council and guardians protected you as a means of preparation rather than punishment. They made it possible for you to develop in the silence and hone your intelligence away from the cacophony. Why? Because receiving praise too soon could have made you reliant on it. Or worse, it could have inspired jealousy, deceit, or burnout before you were ready. You were therefore taught how to become a force of substance, while others yearned for attention. You exercised self-control in the absence of others. You remained steady even when there was no applause. Your resilience was developed in that quiet training field. After demonstrating your faithfulness in obscurity, the divine is now guiding you into prominence. It taught you to move with depth rather than ego. You aren't being picked at random. The timing is holy. The approaching ally holds the keys to a world that reflects who you are. You won't be saved by them. They're coming because they need you for their mission. This time, you won't shrink, and they can observe what your previous surroundings were too small to see. You already know how to succeed without praise, so you won't feel the need to apologize for your genius. You are impervious to the delusions of outside approval. You only need to be more truthful in this new setting, not louder. Those that are currently watching are lined up. Their energy is broad, not jealous. You're not being asked to fit in. They're calling on you to get up. Thus, the shock could indeed be genuine. It may seem unreal to be called to the forefront after spending so much time in the background, but don't let that hesitation deter you. The door was held by your allies, ancestors, and angels until you gained the strength to pass through it without losing yourself. You're now prepared. The future you're entering was not dependent on your popularity, but rather on your maturity. Being invisible for years was never a waste. They served as holy foundations. The groundwork has now been established. It's a genuine invitation. The change has arrived. take a daring step into the future. You were destined to rise. You outgrew gatekeepers and rivals. The situation you found yourself in was one of the clearest indications that you were destined for greater. It was teeming with small-scale rivalry and attempts to manage the flow of opportunities. People who could feel your brightness from a distance were all around you, but rather than applauding it, they were alarmed by it. Some prevented you from attending important meetings. Others denied you the resources you clearly needed to develop. Some even went so far as to sabotage your rise by launching rumors, casting doubt on your integrity, or doing covert actions. It was all set up to create illusions to divert your attention. You could have thought that your breakthrough would come if you could just win them over, demonstrate your loyalty, or prove your value. However, that was never the way to go. The trap was that. With patience, your celestial pals observed. They observed you attempting to satisfy obligations that weren't really intended to be fulfilled. In order for you to gain discernment and learn to distinguish between people who genuinely want to help you succeed and those who merely want to manipulate you, they allowed you to feel the pushback. You eventually stopped seeking approval from these self-appointed gatekeepers. You came to the realization that you owed them nothing. Your purpose, your strength, and your path were all independent of their consent. Nevertheless, those delusions held sway. They caused you to doubt yourself. You might have asked, "Am I still not ready? Do I still have to pay my dues?" But until one day it connected, life continued to show you conflict, rejection, disappointments, and embarrassing moments. You were finished trying to get their approval and playing their game. That's when things started to change. Your angelic buddies listened. By refusing to require them at all, rather than by gaining their favor, you passed a crucial test. The illusion was shattered by that choice. All of a sudden, you weren't anticipating a nod. Something new started to emerge when you were tuning into your inner direction and listening to the divine whispers rather than the cacophony of your competitors. The divine irony is here. The celestial friends moved once you stopped bowing to the false altars and shown that you would rather defend your authenticity than plead for acceptance. At that point, you made a genuine connection with someone strong, in sync, and able to open doors the previous gatekeepers could only imagine. No more side trips. No more playing to the wrong crowd. The angelic allies placed you squarely in the hands of someone who wants to invest in, not control, your talent after realizing it. Illusions shatter in this manner. It's how you get up. By standing with people who acknowledge your power and create an environment that allows it to flourish, rather than by appeasing those who are afraid of it. Rivals will continue to exist after this, but they will no longer be significant. You'll be functioning at a frequency that is too high for their petty control. Your modest stature was never intended by your celestial allies. They had nothing to do with those trials. They focused on helping you build a strong sense of self-confidence, and now that you have it, the possibilities are endless. The days of undervaluation are past. The moment to be in a divine situation has arrived. Prepare yourselves, for the impending wave is not only powerful, but also unstoppable. In secret, you honed your talents. You were awake, creating, developing, and getting ready, while the rest of the world slept on you. Maybe you didn't have a stage. Even if you didn't receive any acclaim, you did get something far more valuable. Time to practice your gift in peace and quiet. On certain evenings, you transformed your bedroom into a haven. On certain days, you studied or worked on your skills in secret. You were getting stronger, but no one saw you. You were quietly and strongly growing dangerous in the spirit. You were searching deeply for mastery, while others were flaunting yourself for attention. Illusions attempted to persuade you that if you weren't getting noticed, you weren't doing enough, and that progress was meaningless without a following. A distinct reality, however, was conveyed by your celestial allies. What is built in private endures longer. Distraction-free development makes something unbreakable. You discovered how to safeguard your gifts from others who could abuse or misinterpret them. You started to choose who could access your thoughts and energies. And even though you weren't very visible, your influence was increasing. The heavenly saw every step you took in silence. Every individual triumph was tallied. You stood out because of every practice session, every breakthrough, and every late-night download from Spirit. You were able to clearly hear heavenly guidance during your time apart from the cacophony. They weren't slowing you down. They were protecting you. There was no fall behind you. Because you had the luxury of developing without outside distractions, ego, or false praise, you progressed beyond what most others could have predicted. Now, the time has come for everything you've worked on behind closed doors to be made public. You haven't entered the rooms where your name is being whispered, because your calm mastery speaks for itself, not because you're loud or sought attention. Your heavenly allies are putting you squarely in front of someone who can elevate what you've been cultivating. You'll be prepared when the time comes, whether it's a stage, a platform, or a move, and the same individuals who first questioned your abilities will be astounded by how sophisticated your talents really are. The plan was always this. You weren't punished for your silent season. It was getting ready. What you created behind the scenes is ready to be revealed by your celestial partners, and because it was polished in the shadows, it will shine brighter. The deception of incorrect time was broken by you. The idea that the moment isn't appropriate is one of the most constricting delusions that the chosen ones encounter. How many chances did you pass up because you felt that your life needed to be more ideal before you could take advantage of them? You promised yourself that after everything was resolved, the money arrived, the relationship was repaired, and the tension subsided, you would proceed. You were stuck for longer than you'd want to acknowledge because of the delusion that everything had to line up precisely before you could move forward. However, the truth is that your destiny isn't dependent on comfort or convenience. Therefore, that ideal moment never occurred and never would. It has to do with compliance. Your heavenly buddies don't wait for everything to be in order before taking action. In actuality, they frequently interrupt your routine at the most inconvenient moment, just when you're feeling overburdened and unprepared. Why? Due to the fact that illusions thrive on delay. The delusion can prevent you from taking action toward your destiny for as long as you wait for everything to fall into place. This is your moment. Hit subscribe now and step into something greater. Don't miss out. However, trust is what activates destiny, and trust necessitates taking action before everything is precisely planned. You have brief windows of opportunity to take action thanks to your celestial allies, unexpected travel, a surprising invitation, or a prod to jump. They offered the next step without waiting for your life to be picture perfect. Rather, they offered opportunities when you were least prepared, and each time you answered, even when it was inconvenient, they gave you the resources or strength you required. That was the instruction. It was a call to trust beyond reason and to learn to follow the Spirit's guidance, rather than when things seem simple or perfect. You gradually ceased relying on outside reasoning to guide your decisions. "Is this from my celestial allies?" you began to ask. instead of, "Is now a good time?" You were able to escape the trap of stagnation with that change of perspective. You started to realize that waiting for the ideal moment was just another way to put things off out of fear, an illusion that was preventing you from moving forward. Time is no longer a hindrance to you as this next heavenly change draws near. Illusion urged, "Wait until later." Your celestial partners responded, "Now." And as you followed their advice, you found the strength to act, to move forward, to take measures that felt uncomfortable but necessary. You are aware that the decision to move, change course, or make a leap has already received heavenly approval. The call is the sign, and you've learned to believe that when the timing aligns with your higher purpose, it's always correct, even if you still have unsolved issues and things aren't neatly wrapped up. Your calendar doesn't have to be open for your celestial buddies. All they need is your willingness. They require your faith, your courage to venture into the unknown without the comfort of a flawless plan, and your realization that divine timing isn't about waiting for the proper moment. It's about believing that everything will work itself out as you proceed and being prepared to take action when called upon. For this reason, your capacity has been increased so that you will be prepared to enter the next door without hesitation when it unexpectedly and suddenly opens. The illusion of timing can be broken in this way. You reconcile divine upheaval in this way. You've discovered that when you feel unprepared, the divine is frequently telling you to trust the invisible route and take the jump. You now realize that alignment is always sacred, even when it doesn't feel convenient. Your growth includes the uneasiness you experience while venturing into the unfamiliar. It indicates that you are headed in the correct direction. So, accept the invitation if it is extended. Say yes if the chance arises. This is the moment for which you have been prepared. When your celestial pals tell you it's time, no illusion can stop you, because you have learned to rely in divine timing, even when it looks like the world isn't ready. You may now fully embrace your divine mission, as you have overcome the delusion of incorrect timing. You went with the godly instead of the masses. The Almighty once put your need for outside approval to the test. It was a subtle but potent test. There was no fanfare or thunder associated with this test. It arrived subtly, encased in silent pressure and daily decisions. A co-worker made fun of your spiritual ideas in a light-hearted manner. When you suggested being a chosen one, a family member rolled their eyes. You were pressured by friends, the news, or social media to blend in and quit being different. These annoyances weren't sporadic. Your watchers, your celestial buddies, delivered these micro-tests to determine if you would grow stronger or weaker. You may have concealed the truth in the past. You suppressed your principles to prevent upsetting others, laughed when others disregarded your way, and softened your light for harmony. You weren't helpless. You wanted to fit in. The delusion that human acclaim was more fulfilling than spiritual harmony, and the delusion that acceptance from others was more significant than heavenly approval, strengthened each time you suppressed your truth for the sake of others' comfort. This time, however, a little yet significant change occurred. You ceased to comply. You allow others to misinterpret you. Without making an effort to defend yourself, you accepted their opinions. You didn't make an argument or establish your value. You just listened to what your observers had to say. Your compass was that unseen, heavenly frequency within you. Illusion lost its hold each time you opted for truth over comfort. Yes, there was a cost. A few of the partnerships waned. You were no longer attempting to impress those who criticized you for being too spiritual, aloof, or conceited. Alignment with the higher realm was what you were after. The observers paid attention. You stopped looking to other people's opinions for solace when guilt threatened to creep in, and you felt awful about disappointing them. You looked up and inward. "What do my watchers say?" you inquired, and you found clarity in that query. The cost to your soul was that you were no longer eligible for approval. People around you eventually adapted. Some people departed, some stayed and developed, and some people put up with your adventure even though they didn't comprehend it. More significantly, though, you evolved. You ceased expressing regret about your identity. You stopped shrinking to fit in with other people. This was freedom. You lost control over the delusions that once dominated you, such as the urge to fit in, the fear of rejection, and the need to justify yourself. You bravely pursued your goals. You confidently shared your visions. You weren't bothered by the side eyes at work. You didn't let the rumors slow you down. You realized that what was actually taking place was a heavenly test, which you are now successfully passing. You no longer hesitate when heavenly chances present themselves, when you are called to relocate, move, or accept a vocation that perplexes others. What will people think is not a question you ask, because that chain has already been broken by you. Now more than ever, your viewers have faith in you. You have demonstrated your loyalty to their whispers rather than to the opinions of others. You no longer fear being misinterpreted. You are no longer bound by false notions of pleasing others. They've tested you. You're unstoppable now because you were ready. You realize that public appreciation is considerably less important than union with the Almighty. Now, you walk with a different power, a cosmic force behind each foot, a calm fire. You are now unwavering, dazzling, and completely in line with your heavenly mission, making you a beacon. The next level is unlocked by your move. The time you've been waiting for has come. Your preparation for this divine move included every spiritual test, every lonely night, every awkward talk, and every illusion you conquered. You are no longer the person who required familiarity or approval in order to feel secure. This version of you is unstoppable, yet that version was strong. You have been marked ready by your heavenly companions, the Watchers, ready for the next world, ready for more influence, ready for the setting created to nurture your gifts. This move isn't about fleeing, abandoning others, or beginning anew. It's about living out your purpose on a higher frequency in an environment that won't suppress or waste your gifts. It could be a phone call, an invitation, or a financial offer. You will know in your spirit that it is divinely choreographed by your watchers who have been moving pieces behind the scenes, even if it may seem too good to be true. Indeed, there will be a moment of bittersweetness. Even if it hurts to leave familiar things behind, that suffering is sacred. It affirms that you are entering a realm too vast for the previous iteration of your life. The door has finally opened since you have outgrown the cage. The Watchers are sending you to a place where your energy will be exactly what's required, your wisdom will be respected, and your light will inspire others. You may run into a mentor or like-minded people. Perhaps you will create a new tribe. The important thing is that comfort is not the basis for movement. You act according to divine time, and this is the moment. Even if challenges arise, you won't be alarmed by them. By refusing to compromise yourself in order to fit in, you have already passed the most difficult test. You'll be carried by that strength. Alignment is sufficient. You don't need all the solutions. Thus, enter through the door when it opens. Say yes when the chance arises. When the elderly voices mutter, what if it fails? With your history of prospering, adapting, and surviving in unwelcome environments, you silence them. This new location is unique. It was created with you in mind. Your preparedness has been verified by the Watchers. The illusions are no longer there. The way is obvious. You've started your unstoppable wave. This move isn't arbitrary, it is revered. It's destiny come true, and you're more than prepared.